It's official, the Nintendo Switch is now part of the same club as the PS1, PS2, PS4, the original Nintendo DS, and the OG Wii, and that is that the Nintendo Switch has now sold over 100 million units. Let's talk about this. Hey everyone, Blood Moon Bobby here, and yes, you have heard right, the Nintendo Switch has now sold over 100 million units. In fact, if you look at Nintendo sales data, it technically has sold over 103 million units. And I know some outlets have gotten to this report sooner, saying that the Switch has sold over 100 million units, but I really wanted to wait until Nintendo's official sales data said so, and now it has, so I'm going to talk about this. I usually don't talk about console sales, even if systems sell well, because I kind of feel like some people use video game console sales to inflame the sort of console wars, if one console is selling better than the other. I know, it's important to know in order to keep up with the performance of the different console manufacturers, but I didn't want to inflame such conflicts, but this was honestly an accomplish I didn't see the Switch reaching, even though I really like the system myself and I talk about it a lot on this YouTube channel. I just wasn't sure if it was going to be a feat that Nintendo could reach. I just wasn't sure if the Switch was going to have the same kind of effect the original Nintendo Wii did, which was the last Nintendo home console to sell 100 million plus units. And I just didn't think that, since the Wii had such broad appeal not only to Nintendo fans but also to a vocal, at the time, external audience. I mean, heck, I remember when the Wii was relevant, whenever my parents would have company come over, my dad would want to show me and my sister playing the Wii. I even had an aunt who I hope is watching this video, who once came to California and really wanted to try WarioWare Smooth Moves. So I wasn't sure if the Switch was going to have that similar sort of appeal. I thought that the Switch would do well. I certainly thought that it was going to do better than the Wii U, but I thought it was going to reach console numbers similar to that of the NES or Super Nintendo. So I was kind of holding my expectations back a bit. But lo and behold, the Switch has sold over 100 million units. And I think in comparison to the Wii, I think that the Switch, it's really a different flavor of success for Nintendo. I think, first of all, the concept is very easy to understand. Like, from the second you see the system, you know how it's set apart from different consoles, and that the controllers are removable, the Joy-Cons, you could see here. And it's not only a handheld system, some of the versions of the Switch can also plug into a dock and become a home console. So it's a hybrid system, something that's usually not seen in a lot of systems. So I think the concept itself is very easy to understand from the second you see it. And also, the Switch will grow to have a really amazing game library filled with not only Nintendo's first-party titles that sell a ton of copies. I'm thinking of games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Animal Crossing New Horizons became the sort of game of the pandemic, and then there was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And even the recent Pokemon games have been selling really well as Metroid Dread. So it has some really amazing Nintendo games on there. And for me personally, and I know there's people out there who like the Switch for what I'm about to say, it actually has a pretty decent third-party lineup. I like how the Switch was able to get games like Doom Eternal, Mortal Kombat 11, some Resident Evil games, and I remember when Doom 2016 came out, that was, like, for me, a really big test. I remember being stunned when I heard the announcement that Doom 2016 was going to come to the Switch, because I was like, ooh, could it run this game? Could it not? And when I got the game, I was actually really blown away. I mean, okay, it runs at 720p, 30 frames per second, but even so, it runs surprisingly competently on the Switch. I've gotten through a good chunk of the game, and I used to enjoy the multiplayer before everybody left. So I really like the Switch for those three reasons. It has a really appealing concept. Not only is that it's a system that you could take with you, but it also makes it a great, when plugged into its dock, it's also a good home console, and it also has a really good lineup of both first and third party titles. Although I am really happy that the Switch has sold over 100 million units, the one thing that does concern me is that I just hope that Nintendo doesn't let this kind of success get to their heads, like kind of like what happened during the Wii U era, which, even though I do personally like the Wii U myself, I think it does have some really good games like Super Smash Bros. Wii U and Yoshi's Woolly World. I think the problem with the Wii U was that Nintendo over-relied on the success of the original Wii, and it just didn't translate to a lot of the changing times. And I think one of the biggest hurdles that the Wii U had was that for people like me and likely people watching this video, I think the Wii U is very understandable to Nintendo's current audience. It's like, okay, it's Nintendo's new system, it's going to have HD graphics and a controller with a screen and then the Wii U gamepad. But I could see why, I started to learn why it was very difficult for external customers to grasp the Wii U. Like, is it a Wii with a new controller? No. Is it an HD version of the original Wii? So I could see it being kind of difficult to understand for Nintendo's external customers. And even though, yes, of course, Nintendo has a very loyal and dedicated fan base, at the same time, it also has to be a system that can appeal to a mass market. I think that was really one of the big challenges the Wii U had and why it sold very poorly compared to the original Wii and now the Switch. And so what I'm hoping Nintendo does with a future system, I know Nintendo has said that the Switch is currently in the middle of its lifespan, but I like to start thinking about what Nintendo could start to do next. And even though I don't think a whole new Nintendo console is going to be coming in the near future per se, I do like to start thinking about what Nintendo could do in the future to make whatever system they come up with in the future successful. And I think a really good idea is, I think that they could keep the Switch concept. And I think it really works well with Nintendo's philosophy, especially with how, especially in the last few years, especially when I think of the Wii and the Wii U, I think about how Nintendo's hardware may not be able to keep up hardware-wise compared to, say, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. However, in terms of portable power, I think the Switch could be pretty competent. So that's why I think that a future Nintendo system could keep its hybrid concept, and it's worked really well, as we know now from the success they're experiencing with the Nintendo Switch. And I think that it could use some more horsepower in a future console in order to handle both future first and third party games. But in terms of the name, not that I know, I mean, who knows what they're going to call their future system. I just hope that they could name it in a way that makes the future system, like, easy to understand for both Nintendo's current customers as well as their external customers. Even a name, even though this is going to sound kind of cheesy, even a name like the Super Nintendo Switch, I think would work for a future console if it does keep the hybrid concept. Because unlike a name like the Wii U, putting the name Super Nintendo Switch, I think it would do two things. One, it would be a nod to Nintendo's past, especially systems like the Super Nintendo. And I know Nintendo especially really likes to bring up the really amazing things they've done in the past a lot. And the other thing I think it would do is that it imply to both current Nintendo customers as well as external customers that it is an even better version, or an even better, like, a sequel to the Switch. And I think that's why systems like the PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo 3DS do really well. And you hear it in the name, so it's like, okay, so it's Nintendo's new portable system with 3D capabilities. That means it's probably going to have more horsepower and other capabilities, which it does. The 3DS has, of course, the circle pad and the motion controls. And with the PS5, you could just tell from the name, okay, it's the fifth home console, I should say, in the PlayStation family, so it's going to have more capabilities and more horsepower. So I don't know if Nintendo would actually call it a Super Nintendo Switch, but giving it a sort of name like that implies that it's an even better system, I think would make any future console do really well. So I really hope that Nintendo keeps up a similar concept with their next system, because I think it's really doing well right now, and I hope that they're able to pump out some really good future titles. Maybe even giving the Switch its own Mario Kart game. I do really like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's one of my favorite games to play. But with this level of success, now that the Switch is Nintendo's best-selling home console of all time, still behind the original DS, I might add, and I think that the Switch definitely deserves something like its own Mario Kart game in the future. So I really hope that they continue making great games for the system, and I can't wait to see what Nintendo does next with their future system. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of the Nintendo Switch? Do you have one? If you do, which version do you have? Do you have the OG Switch like I do? Do you have the Switch Lite? Do you have the OLED Switch? What are some things you would like to see Nintendo do in the future? Let me know your thoughts down below, and until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.